Hi everyone. If any of you have watched my videos before, you'll know that I'm really interested in the yew tree. Now, when you look into the history and other information about these trees, it's quite hard to find stuff on it, especially the age of these trees. Now, it is actually the age that really fascinates me about these trees. And I've done a lot of research and I've seen a lot of these trees in the flesh. And when you try and find that information, it's very hard to get a definite answer of how old is this tree. Is it 100 years old, 500 years old, or whatever? And it seems like people are scared to actually put a date to these trees. So with all the data that I've collected, I've done a mathematical equation, and I think I've figured out a very accurate way of aging these trees, and I'll share that with you now. I won't bore you too much with how I got these numbers, but I've got several pages like this that I've been scribbling on to work out this equation. And my final results are shown here. So if a tree is 1 meter around, it's 100 years old. If it's 2 meters, 200. 3 meters, 300. That was quite the easy bit. But now when it gets bigger, it gets trickier. So if a tree's 4 meters, it's 450 years old. 5 meters, 650. 6 meters, 900. Now we're starting to get old. When a tree becomes 7 meters, it's 1200 years old. 8 meters, 1550. 9 meters, 1950. And then when it's about 10 meters around, you're looking at about 2450 years old. Now, of course, every tree is slightly different, and this won't be 1,000,000% accurate for every tree. And also, I've rounded these numbers up. I've simplified them because the actual numbers came out were a little bit random and it would confuse people. So I've made it like an average, shall we say. Now, I've come back today to a fairly local graveyard of mine, and it's actually got 6 ancient yews here. Now, this website you can see now is a brilliant one. I'll put the link in the description, and it shows you like all the details of these trees and what's here and across the whole of Wales actually. Now, I'm going by this guy's measurements because he's an expert. I didn't want to come and measure each tree individually. So I'll go by his recordings. And I think he did the last one in 2021. So it wouldn't have grown any different in the past 4 years. So, yeah, if you want to know more about trees or yew trees, look at this website. It's brilliant. Now, I'll show you each tree that's in this graveyard individually in no particular order. And as you can see, I've written the measurement of this tree. Now this is the circumference of it, and it's normally taken at 5 foot from the ground level if you can. That's the best height to measure these trees. So yeah, we've got the size of these trees and my predicted age of them. This tree is one of only 2 male trees in the graveyard, and it's just to the right of the entrance gates as you come in. So as we can see, it's 590 centimeters around, which I'm saying is 875 years old. These next two trees are fairly close to each other, and they're both female trees. Now, I'm sure that there's some people out there that will disagree with my findings and think these trees can't be this old. But this is the problem. You get some experts, shall we call them, who I think are, underestimating the age, and other people who are fantasizing. They're saying that these trees are 5,000 years old or whatever. And I will keep on researching. And if I find any different results, I'll add to it. This is not an exact science. This is my favourite tree in the graveyard, and I believe it's probably the oldest or one of the oldest, and I'll explain why in a minute. Now, I think the date I put on this of 1275 years old is very accurate. Now this is because even though this tree is like quite hollow, it's kept its shape, so you can get a good recording of the circumference of it. Now inside the church there is a little poster, and an expert's been here in the past, and he said that the tree in the graveyard is 1200 years old, and I'm thinking he's talking about this one, and I'm estimating that this tree is 1275 years old. So that makes me think that my maths are quite aligned. Now this tree is very interesting because it's recorded as the biggest one in the graveyard, with a measurement of 10 meters 67 centimeters. Now with my calculations that would make this tree over 2,500 years old, which I don't think this one is. Because the tree is like badly damaged and there's only like half of it still left, I need to do more research on these, and I don't think this is an easy one to age at all. And the last tree here is probably the nicest looking one, to be honest, but it's also the smallest at 4 meters 19, which gives it an age of 490 years old. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video, and hopefully you've learned something. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm correct, and if you're an expert, let me know if I'm wrong, and tell me why I'm wrong. I'll leave you all now with a few photographs I took in and around the church. And if you haven't seen my original video of this beautiful church, check that out. I'll put that as the video to come on after.